Game on, everybody! The lower bracket, the losers bracket of the Ryzing Cup Playoffs. Hawk against Spiral, best of 5 series, and we're kicking things off on Amazonia. So here we go, up to the top right, we have Hawk, our human player. He played in the winner bracket against Blade earlier today and was only able to win a single map against his human opponent. Therefore finds himself facing off against the Orc player from Germany. Starting down at the bottom left of the map, Spiral. He had the, well, pleasure to go up against Happy in his first match of the day, and that did go about as well as you would expect. So Happy just completely crushed Spiral and didn't even lose a single map to him. So therefore Spiral now going up against Hawk in this series, where both of them are going to fight for their life in the tournament. The player that loses is out. Loser bracket is your safety net. That's your second chance of making it into the grand final, just simply fighting through the lower bracket here. But only one of those two players is going to make it to the next round, and we're going to find out sooner rather than later who that's going to be. For now, Farseer, built by Spiral, as the first hero, and up to the top, it's the old geezer with the horse again. Honestly, that horse, by the way, looks like death itself. Like, I don't really know. If I was like an old guy that just needs the horse to get around in the first place, I would at least, you know, want a really, really cool horse. Like one of these powerful thingies that has a full-on turbo in, but yep, not so much that guy. Apparently he needs something that has a little bit less of a temperament. But either way, now that we have two guys, like both of those first heroes are pretty much lazy. One rides a wolf, the other one rides a horse. We definitely know what's cooler. For the Horde. Never really played World of Warcraft, but I knew that if I would, then it would obviously be the Horde and not the Alliance. I mean, seriously. If Anduin is the one that you are getting led by, then something's seriously wrong with you. For the Alliance! I want my mommy! And then you have just for the Horde. I mean, seriously, guys, what's better? No brainer, obviously. Anyways, with that little tangent and that little like side rant, let's focus a bit on what's happening in the game. First of all, Circular Nobility as the first item for the Archmage. And down to the bottom of the map, we already have the Farseer putting in a bit of work with the Lightning Shield here, nicely placed, to make sure that he's getting some creeping done too. Spiral with the Claws of Attack +6. That's always neat for a ranged hero when you get a bit more extra damage out. And, well, let's go. Couple of auto attack hits would be nice, and there's already the Wolf Scout straight into the main base. Well, not only a scout, obviously in an ideal world you want to try and see if you can maybe get a peasant down. That would be a bit of a win. If that happens or not, that's a little bit of a different question. But yeah, the creeping continues, and we even have the tomb taken by the Archmage. He's already on level 2. The Farseer isn't quite that far just yet, so we're talking about Brilliance Aura on the Archmage. In the main base, tech into Stronghold has already started. Top right, that's where we still are waiting for, Town Hall gets upgraded into Keep. And of course now it's just a little bit of an aggressive play from Spiral as he's making his way over to the main base of his opponent. But Hawk is just sitting tight and saying, okay, Archmage goes back, he's going to try and defend, and the rest of the team is still attempting to get the experience here. Mantle of Intelligence and Manual of Health are up for grabs. Could be stolen away later, but it's all about the defense for now, especially since the Scout Tower isn't quite done yet. You want to have that Arcane Tower in the main base if you can. And, well, there we go. Archmage nearly on level 3, by the way. Those level 2 water elementals would come in quite handy. And there we have it. Also, sending the rest of the footmen still down here in an attempt to steal even a little bit more of the experience away. Keep in mind that item is actually still up on the map. It's still kind of important, because if that Farseer at any point makes it over there, he can just steal it away. But also, that Farseer is still level, I mean, let's call it level 2. Technically it's level 1, but he's close. But now that those footmen down here are starting to just take more of these rogues and apprentice wizards down, that is another item that is up for grabs. Another Mantle of Intelligence, by the way, I might add. A little bit more aggression over here. Level 2 finally also for Spiral. But Hawk must feel pretty decent here. That did not go well for the Orc player, by the way. That was body block potential. That wasn't quite used. Item is already grabbed, and that's +8 damage. I mean, that's honestly a mana hit, like a mana pool increase, and it's +8 damage, and there's a lot of pressure against the Farseer, as you would expect from someone that already does so much extra damage. You focus the opponent's hero as much as you can, and try and push him down there. Main base, tech into the keep is nearly done, down at the bottom left of the map. Stronghold tech is already complete, but it's all about the Orc burrows now. Yeah, trying to take that one down, and that one is definitely toast. That one's toast, and Spiral is supply blocked. And that's annoying as hell. If you're supply blocked at this early stage of the game, that's usually where... I mean, as build orders go, what usually happens is the farther you go into a game, the less scripted your builds are. The more you have to adapt to what's happening on the map, to what you find, what your opponent does, and what's going on there. But this is still fairly early in the game. We're 5 minutes in, and if you're roughly sitting around 30 supply, losing an Orc Burrow is still kind of a nuisance. So that, of course, slows you down a little bit. And have to rebuild that, lost that structure already. He invests a little bit more in tech now, but with the supply block that he's experiencing now, the Orc Burrow is currently being produced as we speak. Has the second hero out on the map though, so that didn't get slowed down at all, which is really good for him. If that Orc Burrow would have been taken down before he starts the Tauren Chieftain, then it's of course a much bigger deal, because everything gets slowed down even further, since this is the hero you really want to level as quickly as you possibly can. I still think we have some items over here, if I'm not mistaken. Did anybody actually check? Did the Armage make it over? I don't think so, but I might be wrong. I mean, there was a lot going on there. Kobold Taskmaster is down now too, which means we have actually a Ring of Protection for him. Main base, Tech into 2 is of course completed, so now Arcane Sanctum is in and we see Mountain King coming through. So MK time. Oh, yeah, there's a little bit of a hawk sandwich happening right there, or nearly at least. The TC moves towards the top, but that looked for just a second as if it could become a bit dicey if there's a good War Stomp. War Stomp and Endurance Aura, of course, now the two abilities that get skilled here. And, well, we have the Mountain King in-game now too. So our little Power Dwarf can start to participate in all of this, and with the amount of footmen that we have, a well-placed Stormbolt could actually tour us around and then a portal attempt. There's definitely a bit of a chance of that happening. But as we go on, Claws of Attack currently picked up right away, and yeah, so far so good. That's plus 14 damage already on the Archmage. 38 supply for Hawk, we have 39 for Spiral, and things are looking pretty decent actually for Hawk. I mean, we have the 2.5 TC. I was just about to say hero levels look pretty decent, but the problem is now that he's creeping here, he might actually just be creep-jacked, and it's pretty much what's happening. So Renegade Wizard should still go down. Item is also taken by him, and now he has to, of course, TP down. There's already 1 hit, 2 hits. Yeah, that's quite a bit that he lost there. Loses the TP, loses also some of his units, not too many though. But Hawk at 38 supply, it's of course annoying. And the Water Elemental went down to TC, nearly level 3. That's a level 2 Stomp once he's there. Farseer is also slowly getting onto level 3. But we have a level 4 Archmage pretty much, so once that he gets the last few experience points, it means we have Brilliance Hour on level 2. Wound Braces, not too bad either, making the Mountain King more or less impervious against any kind of Chain Lightning nuking. I mean, not quite, it's not like the guy is all of a sudden invincible, but still. Scroll of the Beast is in. And now still the plus 14 damage over here. But now that the Archmage is level 4, the most important thing is to get the Mountain King on 3. So you always want to hit the next level there. Already baiting some of the creeps over to try and make this happen. But Spiral is still looking at a pretty solid army there himself. I mean, right now we have triple Khaldor. Yeah, it's time to go straight in for the snack time. Prime time, snack time, baby. The times of mass Khaldors, ladies and gentlemen. Just full-on mass Khaldor plus Skull of Speed. Just going in and just snacking away all day, every day. It's Snickers time. Okay, so Stormbolt is on 2 now. We have still the lead in levels for the human player. It's going to be pretty happy about that. When you look at upgrades, we don't really see any yet. There's of course the Spellbreakers at the front now. We have 54 supply for Hawk and 47 for Spiral. So a little bit of a lower upkeep play by Hawk that we're currently experiencing. Yeah, there's already a little bit of snack time happening, but Spiral didn't get anything. Try to use the Devourer there, and as it turns out, units don't just stand around for you to snack them up. Raiders helpful. There we go. Okay, nice hits. That Chain Lightning and the poor militia. Yep, those peasants. It's the shittiest job in the entire game. I mean, I'm always thinking about who is the shittiest worker to have or to be, and it's really a tough battle. I would honestly say that the best worker that you can be in the game is a peer, because you can always just hide in the burrows. That always is nice. A Wisp sucks a little bit because for some reason you're just like hugging trees the entire day and trying to convince them to give you lumber, which sounds stupid in and of itself. If you are a peasant, you're sent into battle even though you don't want to. That's also kind of sucky. And if you're an acolyte, you're just sitting there and you have nowhere to hide. So that's a problem too. So yeah, it's definitely... Orcs are the best when it comes to that. In this case, orcs are also very aggressive, because in the main base, as you can see, a lot of those peasants that I just described have already been eliminated. And now there's no income. As long as he's sitting in that spot, there's no income. And that's a shitty position for Hawk to be in, because he needs to get back in there somehow. But if he moves into the choke point, then he's all of a sudden the one that is in a really awkward position. And just look at those priests. They're all the way at the front. There's like, excuse me, I don't want to be here. So they're just rushing away as we speak. There's another chain lightning coming through. And let's face it, Spiral can just TP out. And that's exactly what he does. But it also means that his opponent has lost quite a little bit of income in the meantime. 6,500. I mean, just look at the amount of resources that we have in those gold mines. 6,480 and 5. Yeah, so that's a 600 increase pretty much. Not accounting for what else happened here when he took those peasants down. And there's an expansion for Spiral. So any second that he can buy himself in time is worth it. 56 supply for him now. We have 56 for Hawk too. And Hawk is now starting to move down to the bottom of the map. But if Spiral holds this, the game is pretty much his. So that's kind of what we're going to see here now. Yep. Over here, expansion is of course revealed. Yeah, those footmen could take all of this down though, so that's a bit of a problem. The footmen are going to make sure that there is nothing, the footmen are making sure that nothing is happening there in terms of income. So that's already an important one. As long as nobody deals with them, and at least one gets baited away, but he needs to send a lot more in if he really wants to make this happen. The first Khaldor is down, the other one is starting to snack, and here comes the TC, level 4, and it's stomp time, baby! Stompy stomp stomp. Immediately the scroll gets used though, as we have the AoE coming in. Another stomp is hitting, and it's hitting hard. Those casters are starting to have a little bit of a problem. That TC doesn't only stomp, but it also smells, so the casters are not really happy. But the Tauren Chieftain starting to move back just as he's starting to drop extremely low. If the Mountain King has another Stormbolt, the guy would be toast. There's a level 4 on the Farseer. Spiral is at 63 supply. Hawk is at 53. Spiral is looking fantastic here. Keep in mind, he still has an expansion. He still has the expansion going. And over here, yes, those peons are taking a beating, but they're still mining right now. And if Spiral wins that fight, then he's going to be far ahead of his opponent. And he's just firing away as much as he can. Right now, 57 supply for the Orc player, 56 for Hawk. Hawk is fighting for every unit here, and he gets another Grunt eliminated. And there's still a ton of casters, just healing the entire army up. And of course, the slows from the Sorceress is also doing wonders here. Scroll of Speed gets used, Scroll of Haste, and Hawk! He does have nothing, and he goes down. No town portal, no nothing. The Archmage eliminated, and that could well be the lead for Spiral in the series. Or is it? Because the Chieftain is down too. So all of a sudden, with both of the players losing one of their level 4 heroes, that's a very different ball game. That Mountain King is nearly level 5. And that little fucker can really pack a punch once that he hits the level 5 and hits the level 3 Stormbolt. He is kind of low though, so needs to be careful there as well, especially since we don't really have a lot of items for him either. Ooh, that hurts. If Spiral gets that kill, it's over. If he gets that kill, it is lights out. But it seems like the MK is going to get away. Still could maybe hammer Stormbolt out, but he doesn't even get level 5. Hawk is on 45 supply. And Spiral is at 48. But Spiral has now the base still mining. So he put the peasants in again. Still the attempt to go for the Mountain King here. Level 5, here we go. Archmage is in. And the level 5, where's the Stormbolt, baby? Doesn't have enough mana. Doesn't have enough mana for it just yet. But he's gonna be close. The Farseer. No town portal. Spiral, what are you doing? GG and well played. Spiral overextending a bit on the chase instead of playing it safe. And bam! Here comes the kill, and that is Hawk taking the lead in the best of 5. Game on, ladies and gentlemen. Concealed Hill, map number 2. Oh yeah, baby. The human player has taken the lead. Hawk with the victory on the last map and all the way up to the top right. We now have in blue or Hawk stepping it up again. Actually rebooted his PC and apparently reset his router too. Seems to have some serious problems today with his ping connection. He was already talking about this in previous games, but after he secured the victory in map number 1 against Spiral, he pretty much just said, listen guys, give me a few seconds. I need to make sure that I just like reset all of that because something's wrong today. So hopefully, whatever the problem is, it was resolved now. I guess we're gonna find out, at least so far. There are no complaints. We had multiple games that were today restarted because he had issues with pings and we switched hosts. But all good, not too much of a nuisance for anybody, it was all fine, so don't worry about that. But let's see if Spiral can actually win the second game. It was a little bit weird, honestly, in the first one. It really felt to me that if he stops over chasing, he is going to take the victory on the first map. I mean, he had the expansion with the extra income. He was able to take down first the Archmage, lost the TC, but at that point when the Mountain King is under so much pressure that Hawk has to retreat, if he buys himself a little bit more time, gets the TC back to business and just capitalizes a bit on that second source of income, he should be in a position where the defense against the second wave of attack is definitely possible. Now, it didn't really turn out that way. He chased hard, and once the Mountain King hits level 5 and has the Stormbolt, it's pretty much the end of the Farseer and therefore the end of the game. So a bit of a weird twist that we had there. Yep, very early tech into Stronghold, by the way. After hero, directly before he builds a barracks. So highly aggressive, super fast tech for him. And let's see if that's going to be the secret to victory here for game 2. Farseer is already out, so is the Archmage, and that means, of course, that the old geezer is going to start to creep again. And that's exactly where we currently have him here. But yeah, off we go. Everybody is already starting to jump in. Farseer, of course, wants to be a little bit more aggressive with this particular attack pattern that he currently has. There's also wolves everywhere to see if there is maybe some scouting or some aggression of Hawk himself. Which isn't really the case, but let's see what Spiral can pull off. So far, not much has been seen of that German efficiency. A little bit of scouting is still going on there, and Hawk has actually not sent anything cross-map to scout so far. He's just taken the spot. He also found, during all of that, Claws of Attack +6. Sweet. Really neat for him. We have the Archmage now with continuous pew-pew against the Farseer here, as the Militia and also the Water Elemental are still going for a little bit more creeping. Giant Sea Turtle down. Slippers of Agility is what he gets next. I mean, Spiral down at the bottom of the map, as you can tell, is already more than halfway done with his own tech, so he is pretty much ahead on that. Voodoo Launch is currently being built, as you can see up here. Town Hall is just now getting upgraded. So, yeah, he is far ahead in tech. He will have the very quick level second hero that he can then level. And on top of that, of course, his entire attack pattern is going to be pretty beneficial here. As long as he can occupy the opponent with the Farseer alone, that's all that he needs to do right now. And Hawk is none the wiser because he doesn't have any clue what's happening at this point. But Hawk has the lead. So Hawk has the lead in the series and in this best of 5. He's going to try and make this a 2-0 victory, or well, a 2-0 lead right now. What's better than a frog? Double frog, exactly. Could hit the second one. We're gonna go for that later. Lumber Mill is in, tech is ongoing, just a little bit of harass, nothing crazy. Yeah, and in this case, the attempt to take the Footman down, waking up the creeps. I would be pissed too if someone would wake me up when I'm asleep.
Forces are under attack.
In this case, fine. Tauren Chieftain is coming in again. Already back here, Spirit Lodge back in the base. No chance to actually go in and maybe at the front here interrupt the tech and force a cancel. So both of them are in. And I mean, if you look at the hero level, it's not really that it has a massive lead for the Farseer. Well, there is of course a big lead. 2.5 against 0 experience is a big lead. But it's not like the hero is on level 3.5 or something already. Once the Tauren Chieftain is in a couple of units, he can go for bigger camps right away, which is definitely going to help him. But Hawk is, of course, right now slightly ahead. The problem if you're starting with this fast of attack is also, besides the fact that you don't have anything to defend in the early game, you don't have any units to go creeping with. So that's another trade-off, but that's something that Spiral is very well aware of, which is one of the reasons why he went for the aggression in the first place. But now we have that creeping starting up at the bottom of the map. The first two grunts are in. There's also the first Forest Road Trapper that he can now take down right away. And the second one, bit of experience, claws of attack, Tauren Chieftain. So we're actually good so far. But Hawk comes in, is aggressive. I mean, right now he's just moving in and starting to take his opponent's camps away too. And also puts the damage onto the Farseer again. So yeah, so far so good. There's level 3. That's level 2 water elementals already for him secured. And, well, let's see how much damage Hawk can actually do here, because so far the Orc player doesn't have all that much yet. There's 34 supply against 36, and of course he sees the Tauren Chieftain now and he knows exactly what's up. Yeah, but up at the top, there's the Mountain King on the way. We have double Arcane Sanctum now being built. It's not like Hawk is too far behind. It depends a little bit on how much the Tauren Chieftain in particular can creep now. But Hawk is doing really well thanks to the water elementals. He has dominant position on all of the camps and he just goes from camp to camp to camp to camp and tries to steal them away. There's a bit of a creep check now though, so that could backfire. But the experience gets taken again. Wand of Illusion is in and he can actually fight for this quite a bit. At least he can poke around, and the more he slows down his opponent, the better. But of course there's much better tech units now in for Spiral, so this is where the momentum starts to slowly shift. When you talk about power levels, Spiral is now slowly but steadily starting to get a bit higher here, since he is in possession of the first few Shamans for Purge. He has on top of that also the Kodo boost. Tauren Chieftain is currently on level 2, but let's not forget that the human player has some serious units here. And thanks to the Wand of Illusion, he also knows exactly what's up and where. 40 supply against 38. Those doggies don't do anything against level 2 water elementals just now. And that piercing damage is hurting, and it hurts especially the Shamans. One's down, and that's exactly what you need to do here. Kill the Shamans, kill the tier 2 units, that's the expensive shit. And if you take that down, that's always a nice trade. So in the main base, for now, what else do we get? I mean, we have upgrades coming in, priest adept training, no tech in tier 3 just yet. But over here, neither is it happening in the base of the Orc player. So the two of them just still sitting on tier 2 and trying to creep a little bit and get the heroes to a better level. But with the better creep, yeah, there's a surround attempt. Right, the Orc Lord about to be taken down. And that's of course a big one. I mean, snacking the item here is always neat. Yep. And there we have it. Bam, Orc Lord down. Good experience. And as an item, the Hood of Cunning. Honestly, personally, I think it's the Hood of Stupid, because, let's be honest, that thing just looks stupid. I don't know why you would look cunning. Like, why is that called the Hood of Cunning? Seriously. Does that look cunning to anyone? If anything, it looks stupid. So, I would be embarrassed to walk around with that thing. But, I mean, whatever floats the Mountain King's boat. Honestly, the Mountain King looks silly enough in the first place, so I don't think it really makes much of a difference. He was never really the guy to ask for fashion advice one way or another, so by all means, go for the Hood of Cunning, dude. I mean, he wears a hood and he wears a cloak at the same time. Yeah, that's all that you need to know there. But, as it stands, 46 supply for Hawk, 43 for Spiral. And, again, the Pennon of Energy. Damn, like, that Tauren Chieftain is gonna stomp, stomp, and stomp. Got a Wind Rider in here now as well. And the army, I mean, there's the expansion again. Yep, off we go. Spiral setting that up again. All the way to the top. There's the Forest Troll High Priestess about to get taken down. Archmage is a little bit split from the rest of the team. That's a bit awkward. Yeah, there's a Manual of Health. And there it is, the Lightning Shield. And the Archmage is like, team, boys? Yeah, that is a very awkward wedge that Spiral just drove into the human player's army. That's a really awkward one. That, on the other hand, is a pretty neat Stormbolt. That level 1 Farseer doesn't do him any favors. Look at the difference in hero levels here. 4 and nearly 3 against the level 1, now finally level 2 Farseer. Yeah, that was a bit awkward to say the least. But, I mean, either way, that's a nice round on the Kodo Beast, and those things are not only really fat, they also are really expensive. So that's a lot of money down the drain, and level 3 for the Mountain King. Spiral's fast tech went through, but right now I wouldn't be too happy about that if I was him. We have 45 supply for Spiral. He has a level 2. I mean, I kind of want to call that a second hero. But yeah, he is far behind on hero levels. And that Great Hall will have to be cancelled. So now all of a sudden we're talking about a cancelled expansion, we're talking about a severe deficiency in experience compared to the human player, and he's in trouble, oh baby. Using the town portal already earlier and losing quite a few heroes in the process, sorry, not heroes, but like units in the process too, that's a problem. And Militia is coming straight up from the main base. Hawk is just saying, alright, Deathblow baby, let's go. Yep, there's also the first Dragon Hawk Rider, and the Wind Rider is just looking at this, says like, oh shit, and gets immediately nested up there. Yep, there it is. The shackles are in. Shackle baby trying to take that down. Wind Rider and Dragon Hawk both survive for now. The Wind Rider, on the other hand, is soon going to be attacked, I suppose. But yep, that is a lot of damage. Where's that Scroll of Healing when you need it? Mountain King is next to the shop, and there we have it. Scroll of Healing, and let's go. Time to fight again. Round 2, baby! And Kodo Beast, first of all, trying to snack up the units here, not happening on the Hawk's watch. And the Hawk is already coming in with even more Dragon Hawk Riders. Aptly named, and there's the GG Hawk with an easy win in that team fight here. Solid game by him, honestly. Not really a lot of problems, and Spiral is now down 0-2 in the best of 5 series. Yeah, very disciplined game by Hawk, and he is victorious thanks to that. GG, and well played. Okay, game number 3, ladies. As the game started, the Hawk actually paused it for a moment because he said he needs water, which is very recommendable. Hydration is key, and Hawk of course knows that. But Spiral used the opportunity to start chit-chatting with his opponent a little bit, which was it was a mix between funny and cute. So now that we are in game number 3, there is even a chance that Spiral is, yeah, just at the end of his tournament run. Because Hawk has so far played pretty solid, and if he wins another map, if he wins the Northern Isles, then yeah, it's going to be, of course, the end of it. We're in the loser bracket already, so whoever loses this best of 5 is out of the tournament, and Spiral, down here at the bottom left of Northern Isles, had some awkward games, honestly. The first one, again, was winnable for him, I feel, and then you look at the second game, there were a couple of, yeah, weird moments, but Hawk just played solid. I mean, Hawk, honestly, just made all the right moves there, and set himself now ahead within a 2-0 in a best of 5 series, which always makes it difficult for the opponent to start a comeback. Winning 3 in a row is kinda crazy. So, at this point, we have the Archmage as the first hero again for Hawk, as he's up here towards the top right. Let's be honest, on the last map, the fight around the shop was, of course, in that sense great for him, that when all those AoE spells and all that AoE damage from Spiral hit Hawk, the human player could move back to the shop, grab himself that Scroll of Healing that he so desperately needed, and heal the army up, and that was more or less the blow that really took the game away from Spiral. But now, as we're heading into our third game, let's find out if things are going to be a bit different here. I mean, first of all, we have the same opening for both players again, meaning Archmage going up against Farseer, so it's all about the summoning heroes that we're currently getting for them. But, yep, there we go. Farseer is in. And this time, Walnut gets already being played over here, and the Great Hall tech immediately. The one thing that I still kind of have to say is, like, I'm not quite sure why exactly Hawk is also talking about. Like, again, as much as I'm really just for someone having good hydration, the question is, oh, does Hawk sweat a lot? Is Spiral making him sweat? Or what's happening here? Because so far it seems like he had actually a pretty smooth run throughout all of this. And whatever his problems were with the internet earlier, apparently they seem fixed. At least he didn't really say anything about it anymore. So either the issues are fixed, or he just said, okay, this is as good as it gets. Doesn't get any better, no sense in complaining here, so let's just screw it. Yep, that peasant is already running around in Militia. And there we go. Isn't it a little bit awkward that you actually run faster when someone... Oops, that was a really bad misclick. Isn't it weird that you run faster when someone gives you a shield and a sword? Isn't that weird? Should he walk slower?
A town is under
Like, how does that make sense? How does that speed that guy up? It's like, this and 1,000 other questions, ladies and gentlemen. So tech into keep again. No 2-base play on any side. We have by now barracks in, and we go immediately into headhunters. Headhunters right away. So he's trolling around a little bit in this game. And also, we already have the spike barricades built here. Okay. Plus a little bit of creeping over here. Farseer is trying to interrupt as much as he possibly can. And what do we have up here topside? Archmage has Ring Around a Rosie, gets the item too. Farseer is probably a little bit pissed that he wasn't able to snack it up before the Archmage did. So now the Gauntlets of August Strength are in the inventory of the AM. And we also have level 2 for him. So when it comes to experience, it's again a big win for the human player, not so much for his opponent. Now down to the bottom of the map, with the tech now completed. This Altar of Storms, by the way, is taking a beating. I mean, just look at Hawk. Hawk is sitting there and is just taking it down. It's the hero footman. If that bad boy takes the Altar of Storms down, honestly, then there needs to be a shrine for him somewhere on the map. Hawk needs to dedicate the name of his firstborn to that footman if that ever happens. But yeah, Murloc Flesh Eaters go down. Farseer is still trying to do the same thing. But we have the second hero in, and there's the Alchemist. Okay, Alchemist is in. Acid Bomb already getting used. And here are the Headhunters. So we already have 2 heroes, and Footman gets pulled back. It was his moment to shine, but now that the spike barricade is through, that Footman has decided that this is a really shitty idea to still go for that, so instead he just falls back. Arcane Vault built all the way up at the front. There's the tech also still into the keep. We have blacksmiths now being built together, as well as the lumber mill. Hog is sitting on 30 supply, and with the second tier now in place, Spiral has also gone on to pretty much the same supply number, sitting at 29 now. Still needs a bit more experience. On the side of the Archmage, we already have the Brilliance Aura in play, so there's that. And what else are we gonna get from the boys here? Yeah, creeping. Ice Troll Warlords. Alright.
The town is under siege.
Why would you be in an ice map? Yeah. This is always one of the things that annoyed the hell out of me, when you actually find a Book of the Dead and then you're just deciding that you're just using it for creeping because you already know that if you wait too long, then your opponent is just going to dispel it immediately in its free experience. That always felt bad. Books of the Dead always feel bad. Like, I don't know, I feel like there are hundreds of solutions that you could employ in order to make that thing more useful. Worst case scenario, just get rid of it. But either way, over here, a little bit more aggression as the Archmage wants to finally hit level 3 so that he gets the level 2 Water Elemental. Yeah. And that Skeleton Archer is also gonna go down. Okay, so at least it was good for scouting. That did something for him. And talking about like scouting, I mean, boy, that Farseer. Aura item, always neat. The Lion Horn of Stormwind. Can always start to blow that horn a little bit when he's in a big team fight. That's gonna help. So right now, Spiral is Fictitious War Potion. That's a great name, by the way. Alright, so now Spiral is actually nearly on, I mean, on level 2 with both of his heroes, but he is incredibly low on both, so he definitely needs to recover a couple of hit points here. Yep, on the other hand, there's a Parry of Vitality as the Mountain King comes in. This is like, boys, I need some experience as well. Archmage, Daddy Archmage is a little bit ahead of me. So let's get that Goblin Laboratory craft. Of course, tech in tier 2 is done. And we have the first Arcane Sanctum also in. Down to the bottom left. What else are we going to get there? That thing is just still burning and burning and burning. I honestly feel like once that one of those structures is burning, you should be in a spot where it slowly starts to lose hit point and just dies. So yeah, with Fortress now taken, it's time for the Shadow Hunter. Okay. Shadow Hunter is about to come in as the third hero up towards the top right. No tech in the castle yet by any means. Down here we still have a bit of creeping going as the Augur Magi eats the Stormbolt, and that is going to be another item for Hawk. Yep. And what does he get? He gets the Crystal Ball. Hip hip hooray! So, yep. Alrighty. One of the items that got, of course, changed. I mean, it was worse, it was higher levels, so it was pretty much like wah wah whenever you got one. But there's still not a lot of players that are like, hey, I got a crystal ball. I mean, again, it helps with scouting. If you're going up against someone like Spiral that the entire time just tries to expand against you, then it's probably not too bad to have a tool available that helps you doing that. Then again, you could always send water elementals, any other kind of summoning or whatnot. Gloves of Haste are in, and now that we're seeing bigger and bigger spots being crapped on the map, that's of course also a ton of experience that drops into the hands of both players. We have nearly level 4 for the Archmage, Mountain King is about to level up to 3, and on the other side there's already a big attempt at a creep up towards the top, where we'll see another big boy item getting acquired, likely. Potion of Invulnerability, by the way, has also been taken, and it's on both sides time for the Magnators. Those are pretty sick, by the way. I would want to fight against one of those. Yeah, so what do we get for 2? First of all, also a Potion of Invulnerability for the Mountain King. Just saying. The Helm of Valor. Alright. I know, all these helmets never really did anything for me. Like, I don't know. Down here, on the other hand, what are we getting? Drum roll. Ooh, cut gas pipe of insight. Whoop whoop. Fantastic item if you're not a human player. Fantastic item if you don't start with an Archmage. So yeah, that's another one of those moments where it's just like, really? Really? But yeah. So we got the pipe in, and that's going to be extra gold at the end of the day. But over towards the top right, do we have our tech already done? No. But castle tech is halfway completed. So, top left, Spiral, you guessed it, he's already expanded. And there's the first Tauren coming in. Okay, let's go. Tauren action, 45 supply for Spiral. And over here for Hawk, 50 already. There's a couple of Shamans in there. Master's upgrade is done. Headhunters are of course in play too. No upgrades just yet. Has still the aura items. Level 3 on the Alchemist, level 2 on the Shadowhunter. It's not too bad for Spiral. It's actually pretty neat. I mean, he has a pretty decent tech. He has good hero levels too. And without tier 3 on the human player side, I'm not really sure if he really wants to engage into this just yet. Problem is that this expansion is soon going to be running at the top left, and that's an issue. Gets the item again. And he actually gets the flute. Okay, so now a little bit more range damage. That's neat, as you're starting to spec more and more into Rifleman. Plus 3, hell yeah, it's going to take that. So that's actually at least counteracting some of the aura luck that we saw on Spiral's side. But, yep. What are we now getting? Okay, so now that we have the castle tech done, we need, of course, also a third hero, which we don't see yet. Should soon come in. And there's our upgrades. Master Adept upgrade. Okay, let's go, baby. Top left. Yeah, already sniffed that out. That footman, I tell you, that footman, he needs, like, honestly, he needs a shrine. That is Freddy. Freddy the footman, and he is absolutely murdering. Like, that guy is incredibly useful. Nearly took down the altar all by himself earlier. He's pretty much like a ninja. He's a man on a mission. Spiral with Bloodlust, and that's not an army that you want to fight. I'm sorry, Hawk, but you are not equipped for this yet. You might be later, but you need to get the fuck out of there. That's not looking good. Lost a couple of priests already, loses more. Guys, Spiral is currently just making minced meat out of Hawk. Yeah, that's not looking good. 65 supply against 48, and I really don't know what a Hawk can do to come back into this, because everything that he could do is going to cost him more and more time. And that's time that he doesn't have. Now the Paladin is in, but that Alchemist is level 4, that expansion is running. We have completed tier 3 tech, we have Bloodlust, we have Torrents, he can get some upgrades now for those too. We have him with triple hero on a higher level than his opponent, he can buy himself a couple of items here as well. And he's at 64 supply. So Hawk needs to just go for it.
A player's forces are under attack.
And I guess he kind of does, but this is an awkward spot for Hawk to be in. Because Spiral has just, on the macro level at least, outplayed him here. So I'm not quite sure what exactly he wants to do now. But this will be more than a bit tricky. Again, good luck trying to break through that. 68 supply for Spiral. 51 now for Hawk, and again, he doesn't have an expansion. So he brings Militia over to this too. But Bloodlust everywhere. Bloodlusted Torrents are in, and it's time to chase. Damn, these guys are big. That's that's just intimidating. So yeah, haste is in. There's a little bit of a speed buff, and off we go. And also the ass spray is already through. I mean, 75 supply against 50. Where do you go from here, Hawk? This is more so the spiral that we kind of expected a little bit earlier, but damn son. There's another quick chain lightning coming in, and okay, there's the dispel coming through, slowly and steadily. The auto attacks are also starting to hit, and that torrent at least is going to be dusted in just a moment. Yeah, a bit more damage, and he's a goner. We're not there yet, though, and there's a level up on the side of the Orc player for the Shadow Hunter, which means that healing waves are in. Honestly, Hawk is over in this game, I'm sorry. We never really had a big fight between the two of them, but the entire tech pattern of Spiral has now led him to a place where he seems to be just unbeatable with that army. As long as Hawk doesn't get an expansion for himself, and if Spiral isn't completely crazy, he's never gonna let that happen. I mean, where's Hawk gonna go from here? Serious question. There's an expansion already for Spiral. He can just now amass upgrades the entire time in the base. I mean, he's already getting them. Armor, weapons upgrade, he's getting everything. He's at the shop, has level 4 now. Spiral with a quick pause, but you can already tell he has the potion of mana in the inventory. We have him now with a chance to get even more items at the shop. Potion of lesser invulnerability, for example, could be something that is going to buy himself to ensure that the Mountain King cannot be really a threat to him. But when it comes to just sheer army size, Spiral is now sitting at 80 supply. Hawk is 20 to 30 supply behind him. Sound is off. That's a good reason to pause the game here, because Spiral wants to hear how he's kicking Hawk's ass. He just doesn't. He not only doesn't want to see it, he wants to actually hear it. I mean, obviously there's a bit more to it, but hey, memes and such, right? But yep, here we go. There's another Skull of Speed, and that Mountain King is like, I don't want to be here either. So Mountain King is already in trouble. By the way, bottom right, still a bit of scouting happening, so he knows that the human player doesn't have an expansion right now. Yeah, there's a bit of an item pass over that we see on the side of Hawk, but if that's going to do the trick, that's a different question. Of course, now we have also Enough Fire. That changes the equation a little bit. So Enough Fire is in, and that actually takes a lot of the shamans out. Okay, Spiral just got a bit of an ass kicking, at least on that end, and all of a sudden decides that he wants to head out of there. That was awkward. That choke point didn't do anything for Spiral. All of a sudden, he lost a lot of his shamans, and he lost 2 torrents together with it. Hawk is at 58 supply. Spiral is at 67. Is this really happening? Are you kidding me? Is this really happening right now? The Mountain King just clapped the shit out of the Orc army. The casters were right there. And even though we have the Shadow Hunter on level 3... the Alchemist on 4, you can't tell me that this is really happening. 58 supply for Hawk, the Enough Fire stuff is there. Guys, we don't have Bloodlust anymore. Bloodlust is gone. Those shamans are gone. They are dead. He needs to rebuild them, and now the backline is in trouble too, because that Mountain King just keeps on clapping. He's a very cheerful guy. He just claps all day. All day, every day. And okay, so now there's a bit more aggression again from the Orc players. He's trying to push the opponent away as quickly as he can. There's quite a lot of torrents now. 53 supply against 70, so Spiral is still in a commanding lead, I'd say. But that got awkward quickly. Losing all of the shamans and losing several torrents in the process too. That was not really what we would have seen there, but okay. So, either way, 72 supply for Spiral now. How did that Sorceress, by the way, survive? What was that, a hit point? Half a hit point? Yeah, I don't know. Hawk hasn't really given up on this yet. If you look in the main base, he's lost 3,600 gold over here. There's no expansion, neither here nor bottom right, so nothing on that end. Rifleman upgrades 2-0, so at least on the focused fire level, that's a good amount of damage output. Archmage is nearly on level 5, and once it is on level 5, the water elements are going to be 3, which means that you need to purge the shit out of that stuff if you want to really to dispel that, and that drains the mana quickly. So even if we have the shamans back to business, it means that they have the choice of either purging the water elementals or instead trying to provide blood loss for everything, which can of course be dispelled too. So here comes the attack again, as the human player is trying to make his position clear. Yep. There's the mortar team, still firing away. Spiral is currently... Yeah, he started to repair. Okay, really needed to. Nothing more awkward than when you win the fight, but you forgot to repair one of your expansions, and one unit took it down in the meantime. Alright. Alright. Bloodlust everywhere. Spiral is an interesting game right now, because at this point obviously you can see that Hawk is really just like trying to play around position. And Spiral has had a couple of very awkward engages, I want to say. But now that he's playing around this, if he can, he needs to keep the Mountain King alive though. Mountain King already with a potion of lesser invulnerability, which of course saves his ass, but at the same time it also means that he now doesn't have it anymore. So he's pretty much down his last leg when it comes to it. Okay, clappity clap clap. Yeah, one Tauren already down. Focus fire is there. Can take those down easily if he has enough time and if he can stand himself up at the front. Here comes the Dispel as well. Water elementals are in. Still Archmage with the Orb of Fire in inventory, but not with level 5. So he doesn't have the level 3 on those bad boys just yet. Clap is in, slowing them down. Keep them away from the army and you're good to go. Yeah, and here's a little bit more focus fire action as we speak. That Mountain King is in a bit of trouble though. He needs to be careful. So does the Paladin. Both of them are rather low. And Spiral is driving the human army in front of him. 79 supply against 55 at this point. And that Shadowhunter is healing and healing and healing and healing. Despite the fact that the Alchemist is low on mana, that is actually worth a lot here. Now, Inner Fire, not really casted too much just yet. We have it here again for the extra armor, of course. But Hawk is at 60 supply now. And Spiral is looking at 79, but that gap is starting to close a bit. Okay, now we have also a Skull of Protection for the Alchemist. But this is actually starting to get really, really weird, because the longer this lasts, the more it looks like Hawk is going to win this. There is obviously more worker supply, a little bit more at least, for Spiral now that he has 2 bases. But still, it's not that big of a difference. And now with Spellbreakers in play, with the Archmage, I guess soon level 5? I've been saying this for a while now, so I'm not so sure anymore. But Hawk is now in a spot where he ooh, and he reskilled. Yeah. Okay, now we're talking about Clap plus Blizzard. Have fun with that AoE. Yeah, that's a lot of AoE all of a sudden. Still needs to get that level 5 though. And he doesn't really have a whole lot of items. But that is of course a lot of money that he used for the Tomb of Retraining. And he's starting to come in here. Seal of approval.
A player's forces are under attack.
Yep, approves of that choice. But, well, Archmage. Yep, that's not a frontline unit either. Invisibility gets cast, and he needs that desperately. There's the Clap, and he has the Blizzard. Alright, but the backline doesn't get hit by that at all. So now that they're starting to move in, that's a different story. And that's also, of course, now a couple of mortars that have... Oh, get wrecked! Shamans, yes! Hawk on 58 supply, Spiral at 75 now. Clap action of the Mountain King. And he has the potion of mana in the inventory. Starts to drop the damage here quickly. And of course, we are also seeing that Blizzard just wreaking havoc. 72 supply for Spiral, level 5, level 4.5 on the Mountain King. He's a bit low, needs to be careful, needs a heal, he needs a little bit of attention. Just someone give him that love tap, but those Taurens are falling one after another. The focus fire against them are just wrecking them. Hawk is not losing anything, it seems. 54 supply for him. Mountain King barely makes it out, but he makes it out, which is the important part here. We have Tauren getting polymorphed all over the place. I just see sheep. And that's the GG as Spiral taps out and Hawk wins it. Hawk takes the 3-0 victory against Spiral, despite the fact that the Orc player had the fast attack and the expansion. Hawk with a flawless victory in the best of 5 series. Spiral is out of the tournament, and Hawk moves on to the next round of the losers bracket.
Hey everybody, thank you very much for watching the video today. I hope that you guys had some fun with the coverage here.
If you want to support me and my work, you can do so now for absolutely free, thanks to your continued partnership with Raid throughout the entire month of March. And I would really appreciate if you could just take a couple of minutes, jump down in the YouTube description, check the link out, download the game, and play through the 20-second tutorial that ends with the dragon fight. And if you do that, you support me directly. It would help me a lot, and I would really appreciate if you could take a few minutes to do that and support the channel here. Either way, I hope that you guys had a good day today, and see you guys soon on the channel here with more esports coverage on KhaldorTV. Bye-bye.